case you missed it, it's the top 5 sports talkers of the day. Now, it's time for Dan Barreiro's Top 5 at 5. Brought to you by Gutter Helmet of Minnesota. Never clean your gutters again. Learn more at gutterhelmetmn.com.
All right, don't forget Kessler coming up in about a half hour or so. Keep the text coming. Top 5 now.
Time now for the obligatory Kevin Fallness Minnesota Wild mention.
Yeah, not a game exactly we want to remember fondly.
A disappointing loss for a team that hasn't had many of them lately.
Oh, boy.
And again, the game winner, Tom, was a puck that came in from long range that gave Gustafson trouble. I don't know if it was a lack of focus or just that rolling, bouncing, wobbly puck. Took a funny hop, squeezed through him, sat in the goal mouth. By the time he turned to find it, Chernak drilled it home. And that turns out to be the game winner as the Wild fall 6-3 in Tampa to kick off this 3-game road.
Yeah, if you're a box score reader, it looks like the Wild just got crushed start to finish, but it really wasn't the case. This is more of a game, in my opinion, that got away. Losers in Tampa 6-3, where you're in control, a dominant first period. Some fisticuffs happened, which, by the way, forgot to mention. One of them, I was kind of confused with the Corey Perry. I can't remember if it was before or after in McCarran. But the other one, the Nick Foligno fight, was caused by someone taking a run at Quinn Hughes.
Yes, we heard a lot about that.
Yeah, so there is that.
There's fairness and savagery. That's fair. I've never, and I've got Louis on my side, or I'm on his side, better way to put it, on this. I don't tend to believe that gotta take a stand and make a statement ever, or that it ends up having the impact that people want to think it would or should, because those individuals, and they don't have to apologize for it, enjoy the violence. They just like it. And so it's easier to root for it if you're saying, well, there's a reason we were doing that. By God, we got to take a stand. And I just don't, that code I still find boring, predictable, and the reality is, over the years, it has tended to not serve this hockey team well, and I don't think any hockey team well. But if you want to believe in the code, then you have to work yourself up to, if we don't take a stand today, it's going to happen again and again and again and again. And that often is the furthest thing from the truth. But if you live in that world, that's what you want to believe. So you hold on to it. And you get, because I would rather those individuals just say, I like it. I just enjoy it. I'm not going to pretend that necessarily it's going to mean that there's not ever going to be a run taken at that player again, because that's just nonsense. But it feels good for people to think it, so knock yourselves out.
Well, then in that case, then the official should be calling him. That would stop it if you're giving up a power play every time you take a run at one of these stars.
That's also true. Yeah, you're
so
right.
Then the code and the violence and people like that too. Yes. But also it's, if they're not going to call it,
right,
well, then I'm going to make sure that they don't do it anymore.
Correct.
So I'm kind of somewhere in the middle between the hockey loons and you as far as that goes. But yeah, the Wild, bad game, bad break with Gus. Whether it was, like Joe said on the call right here on the Fan, lack of focus, the Hartman penalty I talked about as well, just things going wrong down the stretch in Tampa. Let's talk Wolves, shall we? The latest injury report I see is Ayo Dosunmu questionable with right calf soreness. Anthony Edwards is out, obviously. But yes, big game. Houston, you'll hear it right. Oh, speaking of which, it was the Kevin Fallness mentioned, Wild Weekly tonight at 7 on the Fan. Forgot to mention that. Because after that is what is Wolves basketball. Houston in town, 8:30. It's a national TV, but you can mute TV and listen to it right here on the Fan. Ayo questionable.
Yeah,
that's my Wolves pick.
That's the one concern. Edwards is obviously still out.
Yes.
And Ayo is questionable. That's the newest issue. And I believe we've got 2 games left with Houston. Right now, we're a half a game ahead of them in the standings. They have the tiebreaker on us right now. So, obviously, if you can win both of the remaining games with them, then you got the tiebreaker over them. But that's part of the, I guess you could say, importance of the game tonight. We had Mitch Lawrence on earlier, and I tend to agree with him. I think Houston, among the upper echelon teams vying for any of these playoff spots, really from, well, I was about to say 3, but the Lakers are now up 2 games in the 3rd spot, at 4, 5, and 6. I think the Rockets are the weakest to that extent that would be the team I think most of the other Western Conference teams would prefer to play. They've never figured out their point guard situation. Durant is still very good, but they don't really have enough other things consistently going on offensively to kind of tilt the defense in that direction. So, a good opportunity. It is a home game. We're back to, how much is at stake here at this point, because there are people who they're rooting for certain matchups more than they are rooting for the Wolves to move up the standings. I would still like to see the Wolves get the 4 at least, and have home ice. I think that is worth fighting for. I don't care if that means we're going to be on the same side of the bracket as Oklahoma City. I'm tired of that nonsense. That's going to be an issue regardless. You're going to feel better about playing and losing to Oklahoma City in the conference finals than you would in the conference semifinal. Either beat them or you don't beat them. So I'm kind of bored with that whole concept. Because unlike the Wild, the Wolves do have, I think, something to play for. There's more movement possible for them, including, as long as you have a legitimate chance to get home court or home ice, I think you go after it. I don't care what you've done the last 2 seasons.
Yeah, I agree. I do want to get to the draft. Minneapolis applying to host the NFL draft, but I want to get this story in because I feel like it's just right up your alley. So I saw this. A name Richie Garcia. He's a former umpire.
Oh yeah, remember the name.
He's spoken out against ABS, automatic ball strikes. Here's the quote, and I just think it's just hilarious. I think it's embarrassing to the umpires that are calling the game. Nobody likes to be humiliated in front of 30 to 40,000 people, probably more millions watching at home. What Major League Baseball is saying is, I don't trust the umpire strike zone, so I'm going to use something that's going to be operated by some computer geek that knows nothing about baseball. And he's the one going to measure this and measure that because he's got a PhD in physics or whatever the hell he's got a degree in. It's so good.
Yeah, it is
that I'm the umpire and I know all, and anyone else knows nothing about the game, because if that's not the most umpire thing ever, I don't know what is. Can
you argue with him?
Yes.
How can you argue with him? Umpires, ball and strike counts for umpires. If you do the analytics, they're incredibly good at what they do. Incredibly good. But you're one of those, got to get it right, guys.
Yeah.
And you're one of those guys who's going to get, but you know what's annoying? You're gonna end up protesting. You're gonna say the computer's wrong. You're gonna say the lasers are wrong. You're gonna say they get all that stuff wrong too. So you're never gonna be satisfied. That's what you have to understand. You're never gonna be satisfied. I thought the quote was from Timmy Cheetah. It sounds a little bit like Timmy Cheetah because he's the same way about the
who I love
about the computer
by
stuff.
the way.
Yeah,
it's always a great bit at the State Fair. But yeah, you know what it is? It's not the everyday great, because it goes on to say stats of 368,000 regular season pitches.
Right.
It's the low light package where there's a ball 2 feet outside the box. It just drives my generation crazy.
I know.
Those low lights. So
too crazy is what I would say, because those get highlighted and replayed in social media 1,100 million times to make up a number, and that's what's sad. And then the number of times where, it's a good borderline call, really good borderline call. That's not news. That's not worthy of highlight. But maybe it's generational, like you said. Maybe that's got something to do with it. You might be right.
Anyways, Minneapolis applies for the NFL Draft 2028. We don't even have a bowl game here. I don't know why. We finished second in WrestleMania. We got SummerSlam as a consolation. So I don't know. I'm usually Duckies and Bunnies, at least with the Wild.
So I'm assuming it would be at the People's Stadium downtown, right?
You'd have to think.
It would have to
or
be.
Maybe
maybe some stuff
downtown
in Egan, but the bulk of it would have to be here. And as I said, I'll predict when Kessler joins in 15 minutes, he will volunteer to run whatever interference that the Vikings need to get. That if Lester Bagley needs him to do whatever to carry the water on this, he will do it. I don't think there's any question about it. He might be able to get a stipend out of it. I don't know.
Maybe.
Will it make this market complete if we get the draft? Because Green Bay, you had it, right?
Oh, change everything.
Indianapolis has had it, right?
They always
have everything. Pittsburgh has it this year, and they're shutting the schools down for 3 days, as we talked about. That clearly done as a society material, that's for sure. But we're in the mix. I don't know how many. Do we know? Does the story indicate how many are vying for 2028? Is this like an Olympics thing where it's a bunch of cities, or is it among the cities they go, we'll stay out of it. This will be your turn. You've waited long enough. We're not going to try to get in the way of it. I'm trying to figure out if there's competition.
I don't know why I don't know. I don't know why I'm so negative about it, but it just feels like a Twins-esque, well, we were in the mix.
Yeah.
We tried.
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll see. I hope it happens.
Well, we've had Super Bowls.
Super Bowls.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know that we're going to get another one, but it's possible. All right, let's get a quick pause in now. I got a couple of texts and other items to discuss, and then we'll prepare for Special K at the bottom of the hour.
Some great shows at Grand Casino Arena this year, including Lionel Richie and Earth, Wind & Fire, June 24th. Tickets are on sale now. Get all the details, upcoming shows, concert page, KFAN.com, keyword calendar.
Flim Flam is very unhappy with your top 5 at 5, Brett Blakemore.
All right.
Here's what he writes. I'll give you a chance to plead guilty or respond. Fire right back at him. Under the headline, Brett Blakemore buries lead. The Wild lost because they didn't capitalize on the prolonged 5-on-3. How much time you need?
Yeah.
Timid, just as moody as the Wolves. But the only talker is the silly fisticuffs. Just another reason to rip them. If you're such tough guys, then go up 4-1. Hockey hysterics. Flim Flam, a.k.a. J Athletics burner account.
Probably. No, Johnny wasn't watching the game. He has no idea what's going on.
That's a decent box.
I don't know if... I agree with everything he said. I don't know if it's a box, because I said it's a game that got away.
You did.
And that would be in that category of things that's right there for you to take.
Yeah.
And they didn't. Yeah, that was a 5-on-3, I think, for like a minute 45 or something like that. So, yeah.
Well, I'm glad he brought it up, though, because for the tough guys who are just aroused by we got them back, we responded, we stood tall.
Or play with grit.
And we play with grit. That's the comeback to it. How do you really play with grit? How do you defend your teammates? How do you defend your team? You beat them, and you take full advantage of the opportunities afforded to you in the game. But that's an inconvenient truth that sometimes gets lost among some of our favorite members of the hockey community. Wow. Why don't people let you live your own life? Did Blakemore make it into the studio today, or was the weather too daunting? Man.
If I didn't make it in the studio, could I be swinging the club somewhere? They
don't let up. Are we approaching 80? What do we have?
I had it at 72 as the high. Yeah, that's perfect.
That's absolutely beautiful. No humidity. Very nice. Call back to my request earlier for people who had ventured out via our airport, whether indeed what I wanted to know from those passengers, those travelers, is whether the situation at our airport is as good or has been as favorable relative to so many other airports in the country during this slowdown period. I forgot to get to 612 guys' text. Dan, we breezed through security. The only delay came from waiting for George Kennedy to move that 707 off of runway 29er. That's a brilliant callback to our discussion. I think it was with Potter. I gave him a movie tip that he was not familiar with, that a motion picture, I think this goes back to like the, I want to say early 70s, an all-star cast adventure suspense film called Airport came out. And I had reminded Potter that much of it was filmed at our airport. It was supposed to be, I think in the book, it was called Lincoln Airport outside Chicago. Obviously, O'Hare is the real airport, a big one outside Chicago, but I don't remember what it was called in the movie, but it was still supposed to be Chicago. It was supposed to be like, we had big city. But a lot of the interiors and exteriors were actually filmed in Minneapolis, at the airport. And in fact, then I got a bunch of tweets from people for the next, close to 24 hours. People saying, yeah, my dad was an extra in that film, or my mom did this, or we did that, or whatever the case may be. And so, and George Kennedy played, I think the name of the mechanic who had to, basically coax the 707 out of a snowbank was Petroni. I think it was Joe Petroni was the character he played. George Kennedy is the actor. And of course, when he's all but destroying the plane by using more power than he's supposed to, he's chewing on a cigar in the corner of his mouth. Now, a big stogie as well. So that was the callback from a texter guy, exactly what he meant in that case. Dan, I go back and forth on the fighting stuff. I like to watch, so I'll admit that. But anyway, win the game. I agree, but I want to know, Blakemore, what is the excuse for not scoring? Oh, same thing, 5-on-3. This is a dictated text, obviously. Well, he just stole.
There really isn't one.
He just stole Flim Flam's material, didn't he? Pretty much. I mean, I think he pretty much said it. While we're at it, why don't we just replace the players with robots too? They haven't been playing to my generation standards. Yeah, is that what you want next? Robots? Because they'll never make a mistake. It's human to err, even if you're an umpire. It's okay. Life goes on. And
tell that to Galarraga, who lost a perfect game.
Some of the rhubarbs that are a part of the game are going to be gone too now, right? I think, if I'm not mistaken. One more before we prepare for Kessler. Trouble is, umps have their own strike zones and they are different. Yes, there's some consistency issues. I will grant the point. But again, once upon a time, we all just lived with it. And we said, okay, well, just adjust a little bit. He's got a high strike zone. He's got a low strike zone. Is it ideal? No, but they're human beings. So you got two choices. You can whine about it, or you can study it and at some point adjust to it, which to me is always the better way of dealing with umps or refs or whatever the sport may be. Dan, no question we're a better basketball team with Ant, but do we play better basketball with him in? The question which we've discussed is whether there's better ball movement when he's not out there. And I would say there is, name any star, any number one scorer. The ball movement is probably always going to be better when that guy's out of the game. That doesn't, though, mean the team is better on a regular basis. Short stretches, maybe. But the fact of the matter is, when you get to playoff time, stars have to, big knockers got to knock, as we say on this show. So the real answer is try to encourage the positive habits that may have started to show themselves with your star player out. See if you can integrate that into what you're doing. And maybe, if he's a student of the game, as I think Anthony Edwards is, he picks up on that. And that becomes part of maybe a more balanced team. But the game is still set up that you need your big knockers to knock. And so the notion that over a period of 82 games, the Wolves would finish with a better record without Anthony Edwards or without another star to replace him, preposterous. It's fun to talk about, and it's cool and it's cute, but I don't think there's a whole lot of evidence to suggest that that's the case. Questions for Special K, Bradshaw and Bryant KFAN text line is reopening as we speak, 64686. Lots to get to with him, including, as I said, I'm guessing some fairly predictable responses regarding the Vikings' decision to throw the market's hat into the ring when it comes to hosting the 2028 National Football League draft. There's some political stuff to get to. There's a little of everything with Special K. That's next here in the Fan.
I wish the American media would take a great look at the views of the people in Congress and find out, are they pro-America or anti-America?
Pat Kessler. Because people have got to know whether or not their president's a crook. Well, I'm not a crook.
I can't trust
That's a lie.
He's an Arab.
Pat Kessler.
Tear down this wall.
I did nothing wrong at the Minneapolis airport.
Senator, you're no Jack Kennedy.
Pat Kessler.
And now, to help Dan break down all the the tough questions in politics, it's our own Pat Kessler.
I had no idea.
Political Wonk.
I feel like a supermodel, except like times 10.
It's Channel 4's Pat Kessler with Dan Barreiro on the Fan.
Here's your toss-up question, Kessler.
Oh, here we go.
This will set the mood today. You ready?
Oh, I guess.
This is from your buddy Marty out of Richfield.
Can't wait. Hi, Marty.
Is Special K going to the No Kings rally with his fellow communists on Saturday?
You mean Marty? Me and Marty?
That's it.
How about that?
We had Bream on, by the way, to talk about
well, I thought that
Dylan and Springsteen.
I thought that was very, very interesting. I'm a big Dylan guy, so I'm glad he finally came around to the way Dylan is performing right now. But that's a whole nother.
What is that supposed to mean?
Well, I mean.
Well, you've ripped. You mean he was you because you've ripped him too. You're saying
that's what I'm saying.
That's
it's
your point.
Time,
okay. Somebody else.
Because the last Rough and Rowdy Ways, one of my favorite Dylan albums. It's his latest one, really, really good.
Mm-hmm.
I saw him in Wisconsin, and it was about as bad a concert as I've ever been. But I couldn't leave. I was not allowed to leave. I told myself, you cannot leave.
No, that's tough to do.
Even though this is bad, because it's Dylan. So you can't leave. But, yeah, I mean... finally, Bream acknowledges
he came around to your point
what
of view.
I have seen for a long time. Yeah.
Well, I really do think...
Fascinating interview, though, with him.
Well, there's something maddening to me about a communicator, whether you're talking about, again, a singer or a radio talk show host, or that is literally going to ignore the mechanics of it in a way that prevents the audience to react or even to hear what you're doing. How does that make sense?
Makes no sense.
In 2020, anytime,
It absolutely makes no sense. And Dylan, and when I saw him, and apparently in this latest tour, and I've been reading all the reviews, all the set lists of the last few days with Dylan, he comes out with a hoodie with the hood way over his head, and you can't see him. Now, when I saw him, there were no lights, so you couldn't really tell. You couldn't tell.
You couldn't hear him or see him.
You couldn't see him. It was more like some spectral figure behind the
Well, maybe that was supposed
piano.
to be the bit.
Yeah.
But you're saying it's not effective.
Dylan is the most important person in my life, iconically, my hero.
Yeah.
And so that was very disappointing. I'm just going to say it. So listening to Bream talk about, he's a regular guy, all of that, I thought that was really, really interesting.
One thing about Bream, I meant to get to this text. I just scrolled down and found it. It came in about a half hour ago. Dan, it's great hearing John Bream. This is from Daryl in Bloomington. It's great hearing Bream. I can't get past his voice and honor demeanor. He comes across as a bit bored and wanting to get on to something else. That's what you have to sort of figure out about Bream. Because early on, I mean, I obviously knew him from the newspaper, but I hadn't had him on the air all that much. And the first few times I did, you're going, well, where's this going? I mean, he seems so deadpan. Is anybody getting anything out of this? But then you have this tipping point where I go, no, that's the bit with Bream. He's not bored, but he's understated and he is deadpan. That's what he does. And now I love it about him because he describes it well. He almost does come across as, okay, I can't wait for this to be over, even though it's the furthest thing from the truth. Yeah. He just stayed on for another hour.
Well, number one, many of us feel that way. That's number one.
Yes.
But with Bream, what I noticed when you're interviewing him, he is very measured and he waits. You hear, after you ask a question, there's like a 1,
yes,
2,
there's a couple
3
of beats.
second pause.
Yeah.
And like he's really considering what he's going to say. So
and then he delays. He's a little like Chris Carter in that you think he's done with his 6 sentences. You got to sort of wait an extra beat, which creates some silence because he's still got something else he's going to say, but he's not going to rush to get there.
Yeah, and you're on my time now.
Yes.
You asked the question. So circling back then to Springsteen and No Kings, he's going to be here for No Kings. I'm not going to lie. I thought about going to No Kings just so I could see Springsteen perform. And I know you would go because you're kind of a folky with Joan Baez.
Oh,
you would go,
man, yeah.
You know.
And did you say Hanoi Jane's going to be there? Is that true?
Remember that?
Apparently Jane days,
Jane Fonda, your gal, looking great at 80-plus years old.
Correct.
And
how old is Joan Baez?
She's got to be 80-something.
She's got to be close to 90, doesn't she?
We'll look it up. Yeah, I mean, but she's going to sing there. But he's all fired up and ready to go.
That's true.
Springsteen, as he told John Bream in that interview, again, really interesting interview with Bream talking about Springsteen. He said that playing his Streets of Minneapolis protest song at First Avenue with Tom Morello was the most meaningful concert he's ever played. He said it shot to the top.
Right.
That is, you like us, you really, really like us. That was really cool to me.
By the way, there's a lot of Dylan disparaging going on.
Now that's uncalled for.
Here's 763 guy.
Okay.
You guys are still talking about Dylan. He's never been able to sing. Here's another 763. Oh, it's the same one, actually.
You know
one
nothing
of the worst, if not the worst singers ever in the history of recorded music. Now, that's demonstrably false, even on the basis of taste. It's demonstrably false. But you know what it is? Here's what it is. It's some people evaluate singers on a technical level, right? Neil Young. I mean, Neil Young has this cracked voice.
Just raw.
No one would call it like soaring, beautiful, but it's effective.
Yes.
And I think for a lot of people, they evaluate, and Dylan is quirky. He's got his own style. He doesn't sound like Sinatra, right? He's not as smooth
Michael Bublé.
as Sinatra or Michael Bublé.
Come on.
But I think that's for people who evaluate in that technical sense as opposed to, does he emote? What do you get out of it? Is there a style to what he does that he makes all his own, regardless of the notes that he hits or can't hit?
And the words that he writes are literature.
Yeah.
Come on, people. I mean, he won the Nobel Prize for Literature, which is an amazing feat. And he has, for poetry, he has some of the best poetry of the modern age. So I'm sorry. I love Dylan, was disappointed with him. And now I have to make the decision if me and 763 guy, who's the guy who wants to go to No Kings with me?
I can't remember the name. Yeah.
So, I mean, you want to go with me? I'll go, you know.
When Kessler says he saw Dylan without lights, is that because there was no electricity back then?
Wow.
Yeah, that's a shot.
Wow.
This is Larry Mondello guy. When I saw Dylan at Farm Aid, I was convinced that it was actually the Unabomber pretending to be Dylan.
Well, how about that? That's really...
Did he have is that the bit?
He did. Yeah. That's the bit. Very funny, Larry Mondello guy.
Joan Baez is 85. Jane Fonda is 88. So Fonda is older.
That's incredible.
Which is interesting.
Well, she's no Joe Biden. I'm going to say that.
This is going to really annoy you.
Okay.
If Dylan was not one of us, we would never mention his name, especially at 84 years old.
I know that one of our listeners is saying that. Then, sir, I reject your statement. I reject your statement. Yeah. I mean, Dylan is iconic. He is part of our generation. He's the fabric of American cultural life for the last 70 years. So he has really dictated tastes and music and how we write and how we perform. And, to be honest, how stars, quote unquote, how rock stars act. And he doesn't give a you-know-what. He doesn't care.
Well, we talked about this with Bream. I liked his answer about blowback. He said, I'm going to do what I'm going to do. And then the folks who want to react to me, good or bad, can do whatever they want to do.
I like that with Springsteen. Yeah,
so
I like
sure, that. That's the deal. He's not.
I say something.
Yeah, and you respond to it.
You can. Go ahead.
Whatever you want to do. Hammer me, make fun of me, love me, whatever the case may be.
So he's going to be here for this big thing. And I believe that this could be one of the biggest gatherings, one of the biggest protest gatherings that Minnesota has seen. Certainly when we had 50,000 people marching in downtown Minneapolis on January 8th when it was 20 frickin' below zero, that was a sight to behold. I have a feeling that this is going to rival that. We'll see how it goes at the state capitol.
Dr. Mike writes to you, I'd recommend you should switch to Springsteen. Obviously he has similarities with Dylan, but Bruce is the anti-Dylan when it comes to putting on a show.
Love it.
And respecting his fans. He still puts the band together before every show to remind them how much people have paid to see them. and so they must be at their very best. Springsteen fandom is a great place to be, and it gets better and better.
I'm a big Springsteen fan. I mean,
you can't argue with any of that.
Absolutely not. I completely agree.
I'm not religious about his music. I like it. I'm not religious, but what I have always respected, I think I've seen him twice, maybe
Sure.
3 times, is no matter what generation, whatever decade we're talking about here, he works it. I mean, there's so much
Get your money's
frustration
worth.
and complaints about load management in the NBA and didn't show up or whatever the case may be. You can't but help, I think, but admire the guy seemingly giving pretty much everything he's got to give every night, right? 3-hour concerts on a regular basis. I think he still does that.
He is.
I mean,
He does.
what would he say about whatever the event is, whether it's a sporting event or a concert, whatever, is just try to give me my money. Just make me feel like you care about the fact that I spent my money to be here, right? That's the ultimate compliment.
I have seen him many times, and there has never been a bad show, ever. And with Dylan, I've seen him also many times.
Sounds like there have been several bad shows.
Well, it's just that he doesn't care if you're there or not. That's kind of how he acts sometimes, He disregards the audience.
That's what's interesting, because you can make the argument that that's part of what allows Dylan to be Dylan, but I got to believe on performance night, it's not something to be proud of, because my comeback would then to Dylan would be, don't perform in front of people.
Well,
just don't perform. If it's so hard for you to acknowledge that they're out there, don't have the show.
Well, I gently push back on that in that he performs in his own way, and the way he performs his songs are fantastic. They're beautiful. He just doesn't acknowledge that I'm sitting in the audience.
Well, he
doesn't say, thank you, everybody, for coming.
Well, no, I'm not talking about that.
Yeah,
I'm talking about what you said is, if he can't be heard.
Oh, yeah, that's recent. That's absolutely recent.
Sorry, that's not.
I agree with
that's
you.
not like, that makes him a character. No, it doesn't. It's kind of giving the back of the hand to the audience.
I'm caught. I'm boxed because I can't get up and walk out because he's my lifetime hero. So what am I supposed to do?
I too enjoy Bream, like his unorthodox measured style, not unlike a Bill Guerin interview. That's Scott from Minneapolis.
Unvarnished
if I
Bream.
wanted literature, I'd read F in poem.
Well,
Kessler,
I'd read a frickin' poem.
Oh, I see.
That's not. Okay. Dude.
Yeah.
Lady, whoever you are. This is read a book. Songs, music can be literature also. It can be poetry. I mean, I know Kid Rock, who's holding an alternate,
right?
Instead of No Kings, a Many Kings rally. Is that poetry?
Well,
I'm just asking.
I don't.
Maybe?
I mean, it's not my cup of tea, but I'm not going to like.
I love some of Kid Rock's music.
Yeah. What I would say is I don't like the selective idea that you can be political as long as you're offering the sentiment that I'm looking for.
Got it. 100%.
I don't think that's very.
I didn't mean to go down that road. What I was saying is that sometimes when you've got somebody like a Springsteen,
yes,
that is a different level of music.
There's no question.
And you're not going to get this with the Stones, with the Rolling Stones, but it's also an extremely entertaining.
But they're not trying. I don't think they're trying to do the same thing either.
Not.
Yeah.
But those people are trying.
Yes.
Kid Rock's not trying to be political in his music.
Well,
in his music.
In the music, yeah.
So
a lot of the messages.
Chris Stapleton, he's not trying to be political.
Right. Do we now? Give me the latest we have on Iran in this regard. My understanding is the last headline I saw today said that Iran had rejected a 15-point proposal that had been offered by the Trump administration. Is there any? Can you put any meat on those bones? I mean, where are we on that? Was there a real proposal? Because there was even a debate. But Trump saying we're constantly negotiating, and then whoever is in charge, ostensibly in Iran, is saying, well, we haven't really had any conversations.
No, we're not.
But yet now they've rejected a 15-point peace plan, which would indicate there'd been at least been some back and forth. So where are we on this story? Is it about to stay at the same level for a while? is it about to get smaller or is it about to get bigger regarding these reports about it? What is it, 1,000 Marines, I think? Maybe
another 1,000 Marines are now on their way, in addition to the 2,000 that are just arriving, in addition to the 5,000 who went a week or so ago.
Where are we?
Well, let's say that somebody is talking to somebody, and President Trump, as per normal, is very opaque about this. Mm-hmm. But this sounds like it is somebody in America talking to somebody in Pakistan who is talking to someone who knows someone in Iran.
Intermediaries.
Yeah, so that's kind of where it is. The president says that they have proposed a 15-point proposal, a plan for a ceasefire and ending the hostilities. But Iran says that, no, we're not. We're not talking to anybody. So here's what's in the 15 points that, according to the reports, open up the Strait of Hormuz, immediately give up all your nuclear material, sign a thing says we'll never have a nuclear bomb. And those are just some of them. Those are the big ones. Iran says, no, I mean, you started this. We can decide when it ends. We will control the Strait of Hormuz. We will talk about future nuclear stuff, all the stuff they talked about with Obama. We'll talk about that. But there must be an immediate ceasefire. Those are just somebody somewhere is talking. You got to believe that's a good thing. We're in, what day are we in? 25? I don't even know anymore. Are we in day 25 of this?
I think we're about 3 weeks.
Excursion, this kind of military operation, but don't call it a war, whatever it is. Somebody's talking somewhere, so that's probably a good thing. But while they're talking, Israel is still bombing the hell out of Lebanon and also places in Iran. Iran is shooting missiles here and there. And the United States, will see what happens. President Trump, again today, said that he's going to blow Iran up in a way that nobody's ever seen before. So a lot of bellicose language and action, but it sounds like whispers of somebody doing something. Not soon, though.
And we don't know for sure whether there is going to be a massive, even 1,000, 2,000 soldiers on the ground. We know that they're preparing. So can we assume something is coming there or not so much?
You don't know what to expect with President Trump. He's kind of asymmetrical when it comes to, what am I going to do next? It's unlike other military commanders or commanders in chief of the United States. Usually when the United States sends troops somewhere, it is to put them on the ground and fight. In Trump's case, it could be to pressure people to enter into diplomacy, and maybe it'll work. Who knows? But it's hard to believe that this is going to end without some kind of limited action, and maybe more than that, with military, with the Marines, with other kinds of airmen and women on ending up on the ground. That's the way it looks like it's going.
All right. I run the risk of getting you into trouble with this question.
Again?
But, I'm going to, it wasn't on your list, but I think, and it's, you could say by current standards, it's ancient history, but it's not really that long ago that the story broke on Bob Mueller passing away, I believe at the age of, was it 81 years old?
Yes, 81 years old from Parkinson's. Yes.
As has been well established, the President of the United States, showing unusual grace, he said, good, glad he's gone.
I'm glad he's dead.
So the question on the table is, and we've talked about this before over the years, we always talk about, well, this is worse than ever, or this, everything else pales in comparison to this. This is the thing that's going to have an impact, even among the people who say President Trump is the greatest president ever. They're going to notice that every other previous president, including at least one Republican in W, tried to be a little classier in death, in their descriptions, and also talk about, flesh out all of Mueller's career, not just the part that affected this as current president. And I'm left with the reaction was almost like, well, yeah. I mean, this is a guy. did it start with McCain? I mean, the first one that I remember was the McCain, I like my prisoners of war don't get caught. Remember that? John McCain.
I don't.
And you could say ever since then, this day was coming, but did this one, does none of it have any impact anymore because it's just, well, that's the latest one and there'll be another one again tomorrow. So therefore, we don't even spend more than a minute saying what a bad look it is for the president of the most powerful nation in the country, in the world, to revel in the death of an individual, whether he wants to describe him as a rival or not. The death of an individual who's gone, and he says, good.
Well, this is something, you're right, that I think that has been coming for some time. What's really shocking to me is that none of the minions and myrmidons of President Trump are calling him out or saying, this is ridiculous. You can't talk this way. What this opens the door for, and by the way, I'm old enough to remember when the horrible, terrible Charlie Kirk assassination, where the Trump administration, specifically Vice President Vance, was calling for people to be doxxed, called out on social media, and fired from their jobs because they weren't sufficiently honoring Charlie Kirk.
Oh, and there were people who were not only not honoring, they were reveling in it. I don't even.
Absolutely.
So we're looking for here again is a little bit of consistency, especially when it comes from the president, right? Not just your average rube on the internet.
So
go ahead.
You raised the question. I mean, we knew it was coming. How are we going to react when President Trump, as we all do, passes from this earth? How are we supposed to react? People have been really careful over time not to react to the way President Trump reacts to many different things, but particularly in personal relationships, not just people who died, people who quote unquote betray him, people he considered traitors, people who don't agree with him, people who vote against him. His best friend, Marjorie Taylor Greene. I mean, we just look at this, how it gets so personal, so fast, and gets so harsh. Do we respond in kind when President Trump leaves us? I don't know. I mean, what's it going to be like when Joe Biden goes or Barack Obama? I don't know. I don't know the answer to this because we always thought, well, this is the one that he will never get reelected again. This is the one where he's gone too far. But we have come to learn, I believe, there is no bottom. There is no bottom. And so you say whatever you want. Well, you know, that's what he thinks. And I give him credit for saying
he's honest about it.
He's honest.
Yeah.
Well, the problem is he actually thinks this stuff. That's the problem. So he's the president of the United States. He deserves the honor that we should give to the office of president. But man, oh man, are we getting it in return?
Well, I would argue he disgraces the honor of the job when he lowers himself to that level. Again, I'm not surprised, but I'm saying that's supposed to be the point of that role, right? The responsibility that goes along with it. And the fact that he still can't help but scratch the same itches regardless of the position he's in is pathetic and sad.
That says something about a person.
Yes.
And yet we are bound, I believe, to respect the institution of the presidency of the United States, which is why it makes it difficult to respond in kind to the person who is the leader of our country, whether we like it or not.
Let's make this the top of the hour pause. I've got a couple of regional stories I want to get to. Is it possible? And we've asked Kessler this, I think, 12 straight years, but I'm going to ask him for the 13th year. This is the legislative session in which a gambling deal is going to get done. They keep telling me this time it's different. This time it feels like there's real momentum. We'll see if he agrees and get to a couple of other stories as well now.
Feel the energy of the state of hockey, the Minnesota Wild. They'll be back at Grand Casino Arena. Don't miss the speed, the hits, the roar of the crowd. Get your tickets now. Wild.com/tickets. Wild.com/tickets.
We were chatting much earlier in the program about the Vikings confirming they are throwing this market into the market hat into the ring.
Yay!
To get the to secure
Skull Vikes.
The hope being the host city of the 2028 National Football League draft, and I predicted that you would have no difficulty or hesitation carrying the water yet again of Lester Bagley, and therefore really the Wilfs.
Wow.
That you would be like, oh, this would be a great honor, and Lester, is anything I can do to help you grease the wheels along the way? Well, you did that with the stadium.
No, quit that.
Well, you've admitted it. On the stadium.
Many years later.
That's true.
Well, I had to tell.
Statute of limitations.
To be fair. Yeah, I mean, had to be fair when I was reporting on it. But yeah, I mean, this would be a tremendous thing for the state of Minnesota. Don't you think?
It's okay.
Oh,
now,
come on,
so
man.
do you subscribe to what?
I love the draft.
Well, do you subscribe to what the Pittsburgh market is doing? The Pittsburgh school system.
Mm-hmm.
The draft this year is going to be in Pittsburgh.
Yes, that's true.
They are closing public schools for 3 days.
Well,
you comfortable with that?
Well,
we're supposed to be an education state, I thought. Once upon a time, at least.
Yeah, who is a better education state, Minnesota or Pennsylvania?
I don't know.
I'm just going to ask that.
Yeah.
Well, if I may very gently and lovingly push back on that, yeah, they're not allowing the kids to go downtown because there are going to be 750,000 people.
So then
downtown.
don't host it.
Well, nowadays, what we have
is a football. So you're telling me an NFL draft, hosting a draft, is more important than kids' education?
Well, you can. What they're doing is mandating at-home online education,
which means that there will be no education.
Well, come on, man. I mean, you know, we don't have snow days in Minnesota anymore. We had one this year, as I recall.
Let's just cut to the chase.
Yeah,
you will endorse. If that same edict needs to be in effect in order for us to secure the services of the 2028 draft, NFL draft, you're fine with sending the kids home.
To protect the children so that they don't have to go on the little
traffic
buses
jam. What's the big?
You got
crowd.
So buses, the drunken football fans downtown who are going to rock
8 a.m.
They're going to rock the buses
7 a.m. on the
back and forth.
They did that in Green Bay.
You know that
because they go hard. That's why.
Well, I mean, you can't
believe you
do day drinking if you don't start in the morning.
You used to stand for something, and you're more of a sports guy than I am.
All right, here's the thing. So, I mean, if you want to have at-home learning, online learning, I think as they're doing, I think it's probably a good idea. But that's not what's going to happen here. I'm really curious as to how this will play out. So, as we know, the Minnesota Vikings, the state of Minnesota, the city of Minneapolis, they're applying for the draft, and I love the draft. How many? Do you watch the draft?
No, I don't.
Dan
I
Barreiro.
might watch part of day one, night
Barreiro.
one. I might.
What's your
That's
middle
it.
name again?
That's it. I don't have one.
Daniel Barreiro.
I don't have one.
I'm surprised.
Stop it. You watched maybe 10 minutes.
I watched the whole thing.
Well, you got time now.
I start all the time. I love the draft. So it's a really big deal, and I think it's for the state of Minnesota. It would be pretty incredible. The economic impact is $100 to $200 million. The Minnesota Sports and Events.
You work for the Chamber of Commerce?
No. I mean, is taxpayer money going to be involved?
Probably.
How much is left? That's the question.
Wow. Well, maybe they could sentence some of these fraud people to turn over the money for the NFL draft.
That'd be nice chunk of change to have.
All right, so Minnesota Sports, just so people understand this, Minnesota Sports and Events, it's a local organization that helps bring big events.
They got us a Super Bowl, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Big events, large and small, bring them to the Twin Cities because nowadays you have to have a bid. You have to spend money on the bid. You have to convince the NFL. Our main competitor in 2028 is when we want the draft. Is Buffalo.
That? Buffalo. Oh, good. That's what I was asking.
Buffalo, and so
Buffalo will get it.
because they're going to have a new stadium by 2028.
They've already pledged they will close the schools for 2 weeks in order to make sure, because it takes time to get all the infrastructure in there.
Don't close the bars.
Yeah, that's right.
That's all that matters.
Yeah, that's it.
So they have a new stadium, but I mean, Minnesota's been applying for the NFL draft since 2019. Now, I'm going to try to be a little serious here. I know it's very difficult.
Yes, it is.
But this would go a long way.
To what?
To helping restore the image of Minneapolis.
We've the image of Minneapolis has been restored.
It absolutely is. I believe that it reinforces that what a great, uplifting place this is to live.
The draft?
I think that helps, man. I'm just saying.
Okay.
I'm just saying. After all the devastation and the chaos and the violence and the financial wreckage that ICE has caused here in Minnesota.
Let me ask you a question.
Come on, man. It'd be great. I mean, why not? You want the Final Four here? It'd be great.
That's fine.
I'd love it.
Bagley helped get a stadium, right?
He did.
And I submitted that when he got that deal for the Wilfs, that he was grandfathered in for the rest of his career with the Vikings, because that's such a big move if you're the owners. But is it possible now the Wilfs said, we've allowed you to rest on your laurels for 10 years since then, but now it's time. We basically said that was it, all you needed to do, but we need one more thing for you to do. I'm just asking.
Let's just say that I think Lester Bagley's hidden hand is in a lot of the events, a lot of the bids, a lot of the things that go on, not just with the Vikings, but with other sports organizations in the Twin Cities. I mean, you think about the education, the PhD education that you get by shepherding through a stadium, not just for the NFL, for the Twins, for an arena, for a new basketball facility for the Timberwolves. I mean, this is a tough, a pretty heavy lift. So yeah, I mean, to get this one thing, I think is a big deal. I still think we need the WrestleMania, but that's what I think.
Okay.
I'm still disappointed about that.
You?
Yeah.
I mean, so when are we up? 2035 or something?
I don't know what's happening.
I mean, it was very close.
So why did Channel 5 have an online story, KSTP, indicating that the headline was basically, this time around, there's a real chance of a gambling deal going through the House and the Senate? Do you think there is something different, or is this just the tease that we hear every year about this time in the calendar?
Well, I'm embarrassed to say I did not see this. So was it a Tom Hauser story?
It's a good question.
Because
I can't remember.
If it is, I say, yeah, absolutely. Then
that would give it credibility.
To me, it would. And not to say the others are not credible.
No. Are you aware of anything that's changing? I mean, we talked about the, what's the other market, betting market?
Oh, the Kalshi and the
stuff. Because I thought
the prediction market,
market that somebody said, well, because that stuff isn't being policed, we might as well stop acting puritanical about it. So let's just get in the water with everybody else. But I'm going to be skeptical. You've said this. I mean, it's hard not to be skeptical no matter how many times we say we're closer and closer and it's about to happen until it happens. I'm just trying to get a feel on if there's anything significant that's changing.
Well, I've been talking to people, and I haven't in the last couple of weeks. I mean, are they going to tweak it here and there? I don't see the votes changing. We are at a point in the legislature. What day is today? Wednesday. I think we have one of the very first deadlines for bills to pass. It's got to pass somewhere within the next 48 hours in order for it to survive for the year. So I think there is urgency to this. But I'm not sure that the numbers have changed a hell of a lot. And again, we talk every year, as we have since the late 70s, you and me, about this, where this is one of these rare occasions where the far left and the far right have joined forces, and they've circled back around each other.
For different reasons.
Yeah. But some of them is government doesn't belong in this. This is immoral. We should not be doing this. It's going to hurt kids. And there's more and more evidence of this. Right now, I don't see the votes. I don't see it. And I don't have anybody telling me that they're there.
Well, we'll pay attention. We have time to continue to pursue it. Ed in St. Paul, I think, makes a really good suggestion. Kessler says Buffalo is the prime competition for the Vikings to host the 2028 draft.
Mm-hmm.
Can you make the argument that neither of these markets should get its first shot at the draft until one of them actually wins a Super Bowl?
Well, then it's going to be in Green Bay or all for the next 10 years.
Chicago. There's a lot of places.
It's going to be.
I mean, I do.
It's going to be in Kansas City for the next 10 years.
They're combined 0-9 in the Super Bowl, Buffalo and Minnesota.
Man, you make a really, really good point, and it hurts.
The truth hurts sometimes.
It does. It hurts.
Yeah.
But if it's between us and Minneapolis, maybe this is the second place prize if we don't have the Super Bowl. I think this is a big deal. I do. And I hope we get it. And
it's not like you'll go.
I probably
will. You know what? You'd go because you'd end up in the beautiful people section.
If I had a section where I could go, where I could get in and out quickly, I mean, it's crazy. I'm at an age where if there's 100,000 people,
sadly,
should I go to No Kings this weekend? How many people are going to be there? If there's 50,000 people on the lawn of the state capitol, I don't know if I want to be there.
Yeah,
I don't know what to say.
Just go with your security people.
I will commit that if we get the 500,000, I'll go with you.
Okay.
You and me together.
That's fair enough. Mm-hmm. All right, we're out of time.
No, we're not. Are we?
Yeah, it's 6:16. We're actually late. I'm going to go. When we come back, we got some breaking Minnesota Timberwolves news to discuss, and then we'll wrap things up for tonight. Stay tuned.
It's the Bumper to Bumper Show Wrap.
Brought to you by American Pressure.
Very eclectic program today, almost start to finish. We appreciate all the outstanding contributions from the Rubes out there. Been a lot of fun, and sometimes a bit controversial. We had guests on the 30s tonight. Mitch Lawrence at 3:30 to talk NBA. John Bream at 4:30 to talk basically Springsteen and Dylan, two legendary popular music figures. And then Kessler on just about everything. The breaking Wolves news is that Ayo Dosunmu will not be available for the Wolves tonight against the Houston Rockets in an important game if you care about seeding and standings. So we know Edwards is out already for tonight. And now a guy who has played really well. I think the more we've seen him, the more responsibility that he has taken and assumed, the better he has looked. So that is a loss for the club tonight. Maybe Bones Highland can dominate the way he did against the Boston Celtics. But the Wolves will have to get it done tonight without the guard that they acquired via trade just before the trade deadline. Tomorrow is Thursday, correct? This is Wednesday.
It is.
So tomorrow's broadcast, right now it's a Talker Tuesday on a Thursday, I think. I don't think we have anything. My goal is to try to get Russo tomorrow.
Okay.
We get Russo every week. And Friday's a little more cluttered. So we'll talk to him and see if that works for him. I'd like to get Russo on tomorrow, if at all possible. And we might add a couple of pieces. I wouldn't mind a college big dance presence tomorrow, whether it's Rick Bozich again or somebody else who can articulate exactly what's going on in college basketball now that we're down to 16 teams. Because there's I think there are a lot of good matchups, certainly on the men's side. Women's side feels a little bit more one-sided, but nevertheless, of course, the Gophers will be playing Friday night, a game that you'll be able to hear on the Fan as soon as we're done at 6:30. Gophers against the heavily favored UCLA Bruins. So we'll see what comes together overnight and into tomorrow. But there should be more than enough for us. More than enough. There's certainly enough fodder. And there's several stories, done as related stories, that I did not even bother to get to today that we might get into tomorrow. I have nominated Kessler for PST, saying the Vikings getting the draft would be like a second-place prize to a Super Bowl. That's fairly well stated, and maybe that will end up being PST worthy as well. Guardsy's going to check in tomorrow. I forgot about that. He is on the list for tomorrow, maybe for an extended period. So we got that in our back pocket as well. So it'll be a little bit of everything tomorrow. Tonight, what do we got?
Wild Weekly, and then Wolves basketball.
Because the Wolves are a late game tonight, a national TV game as well. And thanks for watching today. Thank you for listening every day, and we'll talk to you tomorrow beginning at 3.